So, how do I fight? It's actually kind of interesting in a sense because obviously being a mercenary and everything, I've come into conflict quite a few times, and for some reason, it's never while I'm working. Well, don't get me wrong, it's usually people trying to, shoot at me or swing weapons at me or take me down while I'm doing my job. It comes with the job, obviously. But at the same time, I'm a lot more well equipped when it happens, and it's predictable because you kind of expect it to happen. A lot of the fights I've been in have always been impromptu. Either I'm just out and about, getting a drink, chatting up some lady, and or just, wandering. Especially when I was younger, I used to just get into brawls all the time. It's kind of how I met a few friends here and there. Just wander into their area, a fight breaks out, and then I end up having to, well, I guess, solve it. Funny as it was, but I wasn't just a brawler of sorts. I wasn't just fighting in streets and cracking knuckles on people. It was more along the lines of I had to refine a certain way of learning. For instance, my father, when he raised me before he didn't, was a practitioner of a wind-based fighting style based on the gods he believed in, and he passed it along to me. And because I am a follower of the gods of the wind, there's obviously four of them, one for each direction, and they come together at certain points to become one big god. It's think of like a giant hurricane or a tornado kind of figure. It sounds silly when you say it out loud, but there's a method to it. There's a reason it is the way it is. But the way he taught me how to rely on it was very like think light thoughts, kind of with the wind. You move, you sway, but you also push and break. Stronger like stronger winds can break apart things. Softer winds can just flow. And there were two ways he described it to me in terms of using it. There was the very calm, loose feeling version of the winds, which, when I actually can call upon it, loosens up my whole body. Like I'm basically not walking on air, but becoming it. And I just kind of flow with it. And in such, it makes me able to move more freely, aerodynamically. I can dodge. And not just dodge, I can dodge in the air as easily as if I was on the ground. Like, and they say if you get someone airborne, it's game over because they're stuck. I do not have that problem. And I've learned to harness it more and more, the wind, kind of just around me. I can use it to run faster, jump higher, cushion my falls if I need to. But the other way he taught me it was kind of like an inverse of sorts. Instead of, you know, like letting everything flow naturally, you condense it and you sharpen it, kind of like a blade. And you can basically use that wind to cut through stuff. And that's the other way he taught me how to fight it. He basically taught me to weaponize it, and basically I can use it to an extent, cut through. Like I know I can slice through wood with it if I focus hard enough. Not 100% sure about steel. Haven't tried it yet. I've been meaning to look for some of those robots that Metal has been just and about. And when I find one, ooh, the experiments I'll have then. Oh, that'll be fun. Especially Boom. He's been ducking me since the last time I saw the little bastard. Anywho, that was the basic way he taught me to use it, which I've slowly been developing over the years because he taught me when I was young, but he didn't exactly help me master it. So I guess you could say mine's a bit more imperfect. But obviously, I don't weaponize it. I don't use it every time I get into a scrap. If it's a very straightforward fight, such as, a bar brawl or just a fight in the street against some nobody, and I say nobody in the sense of it's not, you can tell who's a professional fighter and who isn't. It's all in the stands. Some random guy who's an amateur boxer, sure, more dangerous than the average Joe, but predictable. You know what he's going to try to do because that's what he was basically taught to do by somebody better than him. But that's how training goes. However, I've had to deal with a few different people here and there: assassins, martial artists, twins, which I swear they get. I don't have an irrational fear of bondage, but chains. I do not like chains, and I blame them for that. They tried to drag me down the road with it one time. Long story. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. I've utilized a few weapons here and there, such as a bow staff. It's actually retractable. I don't use it too often because obviously it helps me get airborne if I need to, and I can crack a few skulls with it. But at the same time, I don't ever really get swarmed that often by people, so I never really feel the need to use. I mostly use it to give myself some distance or to push people off me when they get too close. However, no one ever really expects it. You kind of just point it at the ground, let it push all the way out, and then rock someone in the chin, chest, neck. I got someone in the groin with it one time. That was funny because he did a flip forward afterwards and almost landed and almost slid down it like a slide. It was hilarious. Oh man, would have loved to record that. However, that doesn't mean I don't use weapons at all. Other than that, I actually have a few different ones here and there, and ironically, they were made by my friend Boo. She is a mechanic of sorts, an inventor. She made these little gauntlets, and simple looking in nature, they're actually incredibly advanced to the point that she started refining them over the years and making them able to do more and more things. There's the small versions, which are basically the quote unquote incognito versions. They're basically double as like slightly armored gloves. However, they have a few different things to it. The more is built for what she calls espionage, which I like the idea of that, kind of just blending them in plain sight and just sliding them over to where people don't see them. It's a nice little touch. Then there's an intermediate tier, the little medium ones, which are basically the ones I typically use. Built a bit more for combat, and they even have a bunch of fancy features she started throwing in every now and again. So I have my own different sets, different few colors and gems, and just make them my own. So I like using those. But if we ever get into a fight where we have to bust out the big guns, she has the ones that go all the way up to the shoulder. Think like a full scale metallic gauntlet. Oh, it's beautiful. A bit heavy, but I mean, she can use those no problem. Me, on the other hand, I like using the weight behind them to just really sell my double axe handles. So when I come up and then bring them right back down, just like a, ooh, it's beautiful, weighty, so satisfying. And then here and there, I pick up a few moves from the people I tend to fight. Obviously, they don't teach me it. It's more along the lines of I just pick up how to use it and practice it in my free time. Because obviously, you can only throw so many kicks before I look at it and go, I wonder if I can do that. And, I have a pretty good memory, so, follow the movements and eventually learn the move. Now, problem with that being too is that it's not 100% the way they throw it, solely because I don't know how they throw it, unless obviously I figure it out at some point, or just have another person who knows how to do the move refine it for me. So it's more along the lines of I can mimic it to the best of my abilities, which is like, let's say 85% accurate, but it's not quite there yet. However, most of the time, it works well enough for what I need it for. That being said, I'm not going to start trading blows with somebody who is so much better at it than I am. I'd probably just embarrass myself messing with them. At least like that. Because again, let's be honest, no such thing as a fair fight. Especially when it's not sanctioned. Boxing matches, mixed martial arts, even a bit of underground fights have some form of rules, even if they say they don't. So, yeah, I don't mind fighting dirty. Go for the eyes, go for the nuts, go for the try to pull their tongue out, make them punch them in the jaw, make them bite it, stupid stuff like that. Again, whatever you can catch people off guard with, because people don't tend to think of stuff to guard. The fingers, like their joint areas, their ankles, for some reason the back of their ankles. They don't really tend to guard that one, mostly because I don't think they ever would assume that they would have to, because you don't think, oh, who's gonna try to kick that out? I will. And then For other weapons, obviously, I don't use guns. That's not my style. I can if I really need to. Which the only time I've ever really actively used firearms is if someone tries to shoot me and I redirect it and basically make them shoot themselves. But again, I really don't like having to like bury people or put them in the dirt. So I try to aim for something that's not necessarily lethal, but would help disarm them. One of their limbs, maybe. But like I said, if someone is too dangerous to be around and I have to put them down, I will. I won't like it, but you know, better to put them down now versus they become an actual problem later, especially for those I like to look out for. Especially them. Especially her. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. Funny thing is though, I actually have picked up a few different fighting styles, or at least versions to mess around with from other people. There's an assassin I've had a few encounters with here and there. So he fights very aggressively. I think they call it the tiger or anything, some kind of kung fu. But he moves really quickly and he strikes really hard. That being said, I can't hit as hard as he can with it, but he's taught me to focus my strikes a bit more, even if it was while he was inadvertently trying to kill me. And same thing, there was a girl I know who was a mad kicker, that lady. Them legs, though. Oof, them legs. The stuff she could do with those things is amazing. I've seen her crack walnuts, and you know what? I'm just gonna stop right there. Like, let's just say she's very kick happy, and again, she even helped me like learn a little bit more about how to throw a proper one. Because obviously, the other way I used to do it to people would basically just be, "Hey, is this person on the ground? Stop." And again, it's the little things you can pick up that just can make it work a little bit better. And eventually, I kind of just built my own style around free flowing movement and just striking people in their like less guarded areas. Now, obviously, that's way different than my friend Booze because she used to be a professional wrestler, so she is very big on the grapples. You ever see her run at somebody and lock onto them? That poor bastard is gonna be thrown around the room and caught in so many holds and spins he won't even know what he's doing. You would think it was like watching a bunch of prepubescents dance at prom. Like she's just gonna be whipping them all over the place. It's actually pretty entertaining to watch until she gets to the part where she slams them, because at that point it's just, oof. Alright, they did not last very long. Which is funny because she keeps trying to fight me, or at least spar with me, as she puts it. But again, it's really frustrating for her when she can't grab me, and I know better than to let her grab me, because if she does that, I'm probably not breaking out of that grip anytime soon. At least not without causing an actual fight. And then a few of the other stuff I've learned to do is, well, I don't typically use stealth to take people down, but I have messed around with a few people here and there that utilize it. Obviously, some of them use tranquilizer darts, some of them use guns, but some people just straight up walk up behind someone, thwack, upside the head, then went to sleep. And I even got into a few fights here and there with people who could utilize all those kinds of fighting styles. They could hit hard, they could move fast, they could utilize stealth, they could utilize guns, like a jack of all trades, except they mastered a good chunk of them. Funny thing is, when I first met the Ultimate Life Form, we didn't get along at all. He found me kind of, well, annoying, and I found him kind of pretentious, so we started going at it. And I thought it was going in my favor until he kicked on the speed, and obviously not used to someone moving that fast. Like I'm pretty fast on my feet, but he could move. Turns out he has rocket shoes, which kind of hard for me to compete with that with my good old natural athleticism. So yeah, I kicked him through a window. He charged me through a wall. So yeah, that hurt. I still want my rematch though. I think I can give him a good run for his money nowadays. But I hear he also has some crazy chaos powers he could wield. And I kind of want to learn more about that because, Well, I, in a sense, can do it too. Although not as well as him or the Blue Blur, for instance. I've seen them do it before. It's crazy because they make it look so effortless sometimes. They say you need all 7 Chaos Emeralds, but I think they just do it. They don't need it anymore. You can just activate it. Which is funny because I guess with the emeralds, it lasts a lot longer for them, but they basically just fall into it now if they ever, without, like, they just make it look effortless. I can only do it for a short amount of time. I'm not that proficient with it. I think it's because of my ties to my, like, the wind gods that mine even lasts as long as it does. Because I could be, like, at most, if I'm lucky, about 30 seconds. Now, that while that does not sound impressive, I can't think of most people who actively just do that, so I'd say that's pretty good. Now, I'm used to flying just by being in the air. I feel like I'm already at home, so that's not that difficult for me. But it was crazy. The first time I remember doing it, it was so intense. I actually blew apart the building I was in. Like, I made a massive tornado, the walls and everything fell apart afterwards, and it was just nuts. But as quick as it was, it left me drained afterwards, so not exactly fun to just fall back into it unless I absolutely have to. I wonder if they can teach me to refine it. That would be interesting. Although, to be fair, I have abused it once or twice to fly somewhere. But again, I just consider that, training. And then I even started mentoring people, if you can believe it. Like I said, I'm not exactly a master, or at least I don't consider myself one. But I can hold my own in a fight, and I guess that's caught the eyes of a few people here and there. Like, I trained with my little brother, I trained with my, let's say, apprentice, try to get her to move like I do. Because, again, like I said, I don't typically fly, but the funny thing about the gauntlets that Boo makes, some of them have grapple lines. And they're pretty sturdy, so I can launch myself around the city and swing around like, or someone that swings. I mean, I'm not a swinger, or at least not in that sense, or the other sense. Do I swing? No, I don't. I don't think I do. But I started getting a hang for it after a while. It's actually kind of fun too, because I feel like kind of like, what a spider is, like how they just like. Of course, it doesn't come out the other end, which I'm thankful for, but it's so much fun though. You can just go around from city to city and just go through the air. But she started learning that too. So just some food for thought. Oh, and I also started training the Kicky girl before because she wanted to learn how to fight a bit like me solely because of someone I had to deal with in the past. But I could tell that story later. And afterwards, I don't know. I kept thinking, hey, I could probably pass along some of the stuff I know, like some of the stuff my own father taught me, which I thought would be great. But at the same time, I don't exactly have time to just do lessons. Hmm, maybe I can put it in a video or something. Nah, that's not. Nah, I work better in person. Let's be real. And besides, I don't think I'm very photogenic, or at least not right now. But one thing I do wish I had more of: knuckle dusters. I do have some spiked ones, which, like I said, I don't like the potentially killing someone bit, so I don't use them. But I've had to fight people before who can take a punch, and sometimes they have a really good pain threshold, so I can't just axe kick them and just put them to sleep. So I have to rely on those every now and again. I don't like the idea of doing it, but it works. Well, sometimes. Ooh, that was rough. Note to self: silver tipped gauntlets. Eh, maybe. I think it's better than a gun, at least. Because I ain't trying to hurt poor Senshi. Guys, do me a favor though, now that I think about it. Do not tell him I'm planning this.